Dateline, Washington, D.C., mostly. Election announcement. I'm not a registered Democrat, but like Bernie Sanders, I caucus with them. That's why I'm announcing my candidacy for the Democratic nomination for President of the United States. I thought I'd have more time for this, at least enough to put together an exploratory committee. But what with our never-ending campaigns, I don't even have time to learn what an exploratory committee does. And there's no chance to line up mega donors now either because they're already taken. So I'm left to making this major announcement via blog post. Good news for you, you're the first to learn of this. Not even my wife knows about this yet. And I hope she won't be angry. Anyway, Kamala, Elizabeth, Bernie, Amy, Beto, Joe, Eric, Pete, Kirsten, John, Jay, Corey, Julian, Tulsi, John, Marianne, Wayne, Tim, and Andrew. It's nice to be in such a large and non-exclusive club. Worry announcement, or are we really this stupid? What do you suppose Americans worry about the most? Illegal immigration? Foreign terrorists? Brown-skinned people from south of the border? Or Muslims? Nope. It isn't nearly that dopey. According to a current survey by the Gallup organization, you and I worry about health care more than anything else. Take a look at the chart in the written post, or better yet, click on it for an expanded view of the chart and the complete Gallup report. Health care is our biggest worry for the 5th year in a row. Oddly, our president has decided to do a full court press next year to increase our worry by repealing and replacing Obamacare. There's just one thing, though. In the 9 years since the ACA passed, the Republicans have tried dozens of times to repeal Obamacare, and they haven't succeeded, even when they were in control of the Senate, the House, and the presidency. Even worse, and that's worse as in both destructive and hypocritical. They've had 9 years to come up with a replacement health care plan for the replace part of repeal and replace, and they've sat on their hands. They have no replacement or even the beginning of an outline for our replacement plan. So if Trump gets his way, he and the Republicans will repeal Obamacare and replace it with nothing. Then some of us will die needlessly, some will go bankrupt, and pre-existing conditions won't be covered, just like it was before the ACA. So you better worry that if Trump and the Republicans get their way, there will be no replacement health care plan, and you may have no health care at all. Puerto Rico aid announcement. The president just announced that we have supplied $91 billion of aid to Puerto Rico, which means that we really didn't totally blow off the survivors of that terrible hurricane that killed 3,000 Americans. That's good news indeed, except for one little detail. The actual real-world, fantasy-free number is just 12% of Trump's claimed amount. That aid has barely scratched the surface of what's needed, and it hasn't provided food for the 1/3 of the population that's going hungry. Trump continues to astound all sentient beings with his constant lying and his ease in inflicting cruelty on people who desperately need help. Maybe he should go back to San Juan and toss out a couple more cases of paper towels to a crowd of suffering people to once again show his true support. Proud state announcement. It's understandable if you think of North Carolina only as the leader in Republican-crafted voter suppression, voting fraud, and generally crazy politics. For example, former Republican Governor Pat McCrory blamed his loss in the 2016 election on non-existent voter fraud and refused to leave the governor's mansion. Turns out his real electoral problem was his zeal for the infamous bathroom bill. Yet the Tar Heels are even more creative than that. They're button-busting proud of the craftiness revealed by the recent indictment of Greg Lindberg, a major political donor, plus a couple of his associates, and state GOP chairman and former Congressman Robin Hayes for bribery through an insurance scheme. These guys should have known that the FBI has no sense of humor about people lying to them, but Lying repeatedly to the FBI is one of the indictments against them, as is attempting to bribe the current state insurance commissioner. U.S. Representative Mark Walker was identified in the indictments as Public Official A. He was the recipient of $150,000 in political donations from Lindbergh, but he's not under indictment. Yet. But just a second, the North Carolina Republicans may not have a monopoly on creativity after all. The current North Carolina Democratic Party chairman was the insurance commissioner during the time of some of this scandal. We'll see if he too becomes a candidate to be a ward of the state. Stay tuned, as this likely will prove to be the basis of a superhero movie, a Marvel Comics state dumb stuff thriller starring Captain Greed. Many thanks to DN for bringing this inspired piece of graft to our attention. It gives us all a renewal of appreciation for the human gift of imagination. Special award announcement. You may recall Representative Steve King, Republican of Iowa, who, in a rant against Dreamers, declared that, quote, "For everyone who's a valedictorian, there's another 100 out there who weigh 130 pounds, and they've got calves the size of cantaloupes because they're hauling 75 pounds of marijuana across the desert," close quotes. That was quite the visual image, and just the thing to introduce a new congressional award. On Tuesday of this past week, Representative Steve King was presented the first ever Congressional Bagful of Stupid Award. In a dignified ceremony on the floor of the House, Speaker Nancy Pelosi began the proceedings by playing a video of King's remarks. She then recounted his many dalliances with racism, white supremacy, and fantasized hate. Pelosi expressed concern that King's years of commuting between Iowa and D.C. had left him with a huge bulge on the side of his head from carrying 75 pounds of stupid across the Iowa border into Illinois. She said that she hoped that his upcoming stupidectomy surgery would be successful. However, she warned that the medical community is united in the opinion that you can't fix stupid. She said, quote, "We all hope that this surgery will cause Steve Stupid to go into remission for a while," close quotes. At last, and in a sincere and heartfelt closing, Pelosi recognized King for his well-earned award and wished him a fine and very remote retirement beginning in January 2021. And finally, from the You Can't Make This Stuff Up file, a short compendium of dumb current events that are too unbelievable even for fiction. First one. Vile, hateful, wacko conspiracy nutcase Alex Jones is the defendant in a lawsuit brought by parents of children murdered in the Sandy Hook Elementary School massacre. He's floating a defense that he has a form of psychosis that causes him to believe that certain events were staged. He says his psychosis was brought on by government and media lies, causing him to feel like, quote, "a child whose parents lie to him over and over again. Pretty soon you don't know what reality is," close quotes. So Alex Jones, the grand perp of hateful, harmful conspiracy theories that fattened his wallet dramatically, is a poor victim. Second item, Fox and Friends unveiled a new geographic phenomenon when it boldly declared, quote, "Trump cuts aid to 3 Mexican countries," close quotes. That claim came as startling news to those who erroneously thought there was only one country named Mexico. Live on the ground in the Valley of Stupid, I'm Jack Alshuler.